Welcome to HDPP Live on a
Monday
Saturday night to the UK and around the world with photos, memories and friends. This is HDPP Live. How are you this evening? Are you all well?
Hinckley history, past and present for you, meeting friends old and new. Streaming Wednesdays and Saturdays too, with founder members Paul and Sue. The smiles that we bring are a heritage thing. HDPP, keeping history alive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Where the memories survive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Filled with photos, memories, and friends, helps a dreary night go by. Wearing Hinckley's six of the best, stupendous quizzical high. The smiles that we bring are a heritage thing. HDPP, keeping history alive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Where local memories survive. HDPP, streaming HDPP live. Let's take you back in time. A community affair. We'll take you for a ride. Henson's Cab will take you there. We're making history. HDPP, chat room applauses. History supporting local causes. Streaming HDPP live. Betty is our queen bee. The sweetest honey candy. Dangerous Den here again. HDPP live. Hey, you know we keep it in HDPP.
Oh, here we go again. My word, good evening. Oh, hello. Oh, and the likes are coming as well. Oh, my word, welcome along to the programme. It's a Monday night. It means it's HDPP live from the heart of Blighty. And how are you today? Not as hot as last week, I am pleased to say. As you can see, I've got the bookshelf behind me now to lean on. Oh, you get that? It's nice to actually feel these books. They're so full of different things all about Hinckley, and if you believe that, you're more gullible than what I thought. Good evening to everybody in the chat room this evening. It's lovely to know that you are there, and as you can see already, plenty of people actually here saying hello. John Fletcher, Dr. Nooker, yes. First through the door this evening, hotly followed by Anne Hunt, of course, and then Grandad Steve Gardner comes in as well. Maureen and Ray are here. Mrs. Boldark's here as well, yeah. Good grief. Kevin Beasley's here. Mary Blake is here. And Clive Armstrong, to mention but a few. We've also got Ian Roberts here. We've got Jeff Wallace and Anna here. Kay Norton's here. And Uncle Tom Cobley and all as it goes. Yeah, absolutely. I know. And I'm confused, Paul. It says live stream 18th of the 7th. I know. It should have altered by now. Don't worry. A little bit on my part. You usually have to do all that before I start. And I was being so cool and collected. And then Mrs. G said, it's the 25th today. I said, no one sent me a memo. But yes, it is. Anyway, It is the 25th, so don't worry yet, and it's just a little typo that should correct itself as we go through. Good evening, Gary Betterley as well, all the way over from France as well. It's still been quite warm out there. So there we go. And Steve Picker's here. Listen, Oh, I think he deserves a clap all of his own. Have we got a nosy for you tonight? Or have we got a nosy for you tonight? Yes, the man himself will be here later on with his little shovel. I ho. Yeah, it's often nosy I go. Maybe that's another one we could start singing. Thank you. Keep the likes coming. We love it. Kath Denny's here. And, yes. Well, we've got such a lot to get through this evening. We've got our usual wearing in Clare. And we've also got our anagram, which tonight, hopefully, we will have... we will also have all the right letters. Not necessarily in the right order, but they should be here. So we'll be doing that very, very shortly. Now, first of all, group notices. Let me just start by saying straight away. Tonight, the Crops are not in tonight, and the Kirby's are not in tonight. So come on, let's put them through the mill. Yeah, no, I'm joking. There's a good reason. In fact, for once, I let Jan off today because she's celebrating her birthday. So, Jan, happy birthday to you. And from everybody here at Hinckley District, past and present, let's bring on those lovely boys to sing you your song.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to
Jan Kirby.
Happy birthday to you.
Pull the fag out. There we go. Happy birthday, Jan. Hope you have a lovely evening in your little party. You can be watching this a little bit later on. I am told they will be present on Wednesday night for our social night. And that will, of course, is at the ground. Now, it will not be streamed live this week. I can tell you exactly why, because Ian Walker, bless him, who normally does our live streams from the Greyhound, he's swanned off on a cruise. Yeah. So, it's probably as well because I'm doing the talk on Wednesday night anyway. Got some great pictures to show you Wednesday. So it will not be live. So, Anne, I'm sorry I know you look forward to seeing it live and stuff, but won't be happening this week. There's not enough of me to go round, you understand. That's what it is. Anyway, lots of people wishing Jan a happy birthday. As you can see down there in the old chat room there, and Paul Glover's joined it. Paul is one of the latest lot of Inklians that have come down with COVID. And as you know, Sue and I both somehow managed to get it. Don't know how we can afford it myself, but we're both on much better now. The only thing I would say that's probably still holding Mrs. G back a little bit is energy levels. You know, she'll have a burst of energy, then it's depleted, and it seems to take a while to, recharge your batteries. But there we go. However, yours truly has to be here and doing this. I haven't got time to sit there and feel tired. I have to do this. Right, in the programme tonight, all the regular features. Let's get on with it. First and foremost, we'll do where in Hinckley first. Now, remember, you've got to identify where in Hinckley this is. It's easy to a certain degree, this one is, because it's obviously somewhere in Hinckley, and it's obviously a shop somewhere in Hinckley. We want to know where. But remember, do not put your answer in the chat room until the end of the programme when we ask. Now, we've all walked by it, but which shop is it? Which shop is where? Mrs. Now, is it that little bit up Castle Street on the left, or is it that bit on Castle Street down the right? I will go as far to say, I will tell you it could be Castle Street, but you don't have to believe me. But there it is. Which shop is that? Good evening. Thank you, Anne. She said, I'm going to let you off tonight. Paul, thank you. You're the first person that's let me off for ages. Tim's here, Tim Townsend himself, and little Jane here. And they're also wishing happy birthday to Auntie Jan. Yes, right, okay. We'll make sure she gets the drinks in on Wednesday night at the... come on round, Tim and Jane. Come on round to the social night on Wednesday night. Jan's buying. Anyway, so there's the wearing in Clare. So what do you think to that? That's not bad, is it? Now then, also, if you find that is far too easy, don't worry, because we can give you our little next one. Our little next one being, of course, our anagram. Now, wait a minute, I always have to press the button twice on this for it to work. Hang on, there we go. There we go. There's the anagram. Now I'm going to leave it on the screen a few moments so you can just get all those letters down. Ayrshire checkered stonemason. Yes, it is. Ayrshire checkered stonemason. Now, while you're writing that down, I will tell you that it was in Hinckley, and it's let's see. Let's try and give you a bit of a clue, because I'm feeling in a generous mood tonight. Ayrshire checkered stonemason. This is a now long defunct, gone factory business. There. I think that's enough for you to work on. So it'll give you the name of what it was and where it was. So you'll find the name of what it was and where it was, all in Ayrshire checkered stonemason. So rearrange those words, and we'll come back to it throughout the programme. And of course, as usual, do not put the answer up. Just say yes, I know, or whatever, like usually John Denny does, and Jeff Wallace usually do 30 seconds after I've revealed it. Ayrshire checkered stonemason. Rearrange that. It's a now long gone company. And it'll also give you where it was. So you'll have the name of the company, and you'll also have where it was. That's all in Ayrshire checkered stonemason. Have a play about that. You know you want to. Okay, that's good. Okay, now just a quick reminder, of course, about Wednesday evening at the Greyhound, of course. Please come along. We always have a lot of fun. At the ground. It's going to be probably a slightly shorter night because I'm only 5'4". Mainly because the next day, Sue and I and Queen Bee, we're jetting off for like a long weekend, and we're going down to the Boundary Hotel. Who watch this program? They watch this program all the time. Listen, I know. Listen. They really do support us a lot. So, but they can only squeeze us in. They said they had to go and get a shoehorn to squeeze us in this year. But we're going to be squeezed in. So we're looking forward to that. So Wednesday night, like I say, we'll probably finish sort of more 9-ish than anything else. But we've got a nice little show lined up for you on Wednesday night. Yours truly, showing you some lovely pictures and stuff. So we're going to be good. So come along. It'll be great to see you. Okay then. Now then, before we get any further, let me just say thank you to our sponsors. And at the moment, sellers are being really, really good to us at the moment. I'll explain that in the coming weeks. But they've been really, really good to us, looking out for us and keeping us dry and warm, I would say. So thank you very much to Sellers and Co. and Joseph and the team there. And to everybody else, and a big thank you to Jaspers for still selling all our stuff, our merchandise, which you can get any time of day. Just go in and say, HDPP, please. And they'll point you in this little direction. And we do appreciate it. And of course, Jaspers is one of those places you think, you think, missus, yes. It's one of those places where you walk around and think, if I got an open checkbook now, I'd have that. I'll have that. Oh, and I'll have that too. So it's well worth a visit anyway while you get your HDPP goodies. There's prints, there's pictures, there's caps, there's keyrings, there's badges, there's DVDs. Great stuff. Okay, Jeff, I saw it. Well, I already seen it when he's repeating it so quickly. Got the anagram. And then he's put it in. Got the anagram. There must be an echo. There's an echo in here. Right. Okay, Jeff. Have you got the anagram, Jeff? And Queen Bee has joined us late. Sorry I'm late. On the phone to my cousin Nigel. So she'll say, I didn't have time to do the anagram. Listen, we know. We know we do this every night. Anyway, every Monday evening. And I said earlier, just to remind you also that, of course, come the back end of August, we'll be going back to Saturday nights. We're going to have a new interface here. All this will be a little bit different, probably a little bit more exciting, hopefully. You'll enjoy that, we hope indeed. Okay, then. Right then. Okay, settle back for our first feature this evening, because let's say in a bit we've got a nose air. Can't beat a bit of a nose air. Yes. And but before that, a nice little film we haven't shown for a little while. Hinckley's Changing Face. Sit back and enjoy. Remember to keep the likes coming, and make sure you've subscribed. And we'll see you after this.
Similar to most towns and cities, Hinckley has seen many changes of style and character over the centuries. Legend has it that in Saxon times, a certain gentleman with the name of Hinckley settled within the lee of this area, and from this derived the combined name of Hinckley. Situated on the west end of the Leicester Forest, its pastures being used for grazing sheep and the consequent involvement of the wool industry and its associated markets helped to determine what has been a strong and thriving hosiery and knitwear industrialised community. The Church of St Mary's is probably the oldest remaining structure providing evidence of its long existence. Canon Brian Davies, now in his 13th year in office here in Hinckley, has survived much longer than many of his predecessors, as he so aptly records.
Well, when I bring people into St Mary's and show them around, and we have lots of people here, and particularly young people and partition school, I often bring them here and show them this list of vicars. And it goes right back. First of all, you can see my own name here. I came here in 1991. But if we go right back to the very first vicar, you've got Robert de Hinckley. This is the first recorded vicar here in 1220. That's roughly about the same date as the oldest part of this building. And if you follow the list of vicars through, you come to a very interesting dates here. You've got John Appleton of 1349, Robert Big of Hinckley in 1349, Nicholas Boydeer 1350, William Buke of Hinckley 1350. 4 priests in 2 years. And of course it's the time of the Black Death that ravaged Europe. And there's no way of knowing exactly, but historians believe at least a third of Europe was wiped out. And there is a point of history here in Hinckley.
Few towns or cities could lay claim to having had a wider variety of industrial and agricultural successes and failures. But many changes and fortunes have been made and lost en route through the years. Pleasures and riches for some, whilst many have suffered hardships not all of their own making, but all have been a changing scene within this West Leicestershire landscape, and a number of these changes have had sufficient significance to make them worthy of being recorded. So Hugh Bevan now reflects.
At the time of Doomsday in 1086, Hinckley was a small agricultural community, slightly larger than Birmingham at the time. Hinckley had some 250 people living here, mainly employed in agriculture. Within 100 years, there was a regular weekly market. And at a later stage, the local citizens bought up the market rights. Hinckley Castle was built probably in 1150 by Robert Bossu, a classic Motte and Bailey castle. Shortly afterwards, the Lord of Leicester was Simon de Montfort, and his coat of arms is the coat of arms of the borough today.
I'd now like to show you something else that I think is of real historical interest. Well, here we have the Hinckley Town Chest. And if we get down here and look, we can see Hinckley Town, spelled T-O-W-N-E, Chest, anno 1613, November the 4th. So this fine oak chest has been here since 1613. Some people the Civil War. And during the Civil War, in 1644, there was a skirmish just outside Hinckley, and the Royalist soldiers brought their prisoners and actually put them here in the church. So any furniture, I imagine, wouldn't have been well treated by the soldiers and the prisoners. So it's possibly it got knocked about a bit then.
As Brian has earlier said, there was a small Civil War battle in Hinckley when prisoners who were held in the church were released by their parliamentarian colleagues. The battle involved something in the region of 450 men, and the total number who were casualties was about a dozen.
The market town flourished, and even Shakespeare had knowledge of its fame and refers to it in Henry IV Part 2, where Davy asked Justice Shallow, "Sir, do you mean to stop any of William's wages about the sack he lost the other day at Hinckley Fair?" However, I doubt if anyone could have visualised the significance to Hinckley when William Iliff during 1640 brought into the town its very first stocking knitting frame. He spent the enormous sum of £60 purchasing this new machine from William Lee in Calverton, Nottinghamshire, thus starting the cottage industry, which during the ensuing 200 years was to grow very rapidly. And here Tom Atkins tells of his ancestor Robert Atkins using his foresight and the subsequent family concern which flourished.
And in 1702, Robert Atkins was born into the family, and it was a large family, and of course there was difficulty finding a living for the number of children there were. I think there were 6 or 7 of them, and he understandably decided that he would make his own way and went off to London and apprenticed himself to the framework knitters in London. And in 1722, having done his apprenticeship, he came back to Hinckley, and he'd obviously been looking around and deciding where he would go with his knowledge of the industry that he'd gleaned in London. He decided he'd come back to Hinckley very wisely, I think, because he had seen how well the cottage industry was doing. He had seen that Lee's frame had been there for some 80 years or more, and he decided that since there was raw material in abundance and the wool from the sheep around, that he would get into Hinckley and he would carry on the hosiery trade in Hinckley. And as a matter of fact, I think when he arrived in Hinckley, there were somewhere in the region of 320 odd frames in the cottage industry in that area, and when he died there were over 900. Yeah.
The coming of enclosure to Hinckley between 1759 and 1761 meant that fewer people were needed to work in the farms, and many more became full-time framework knitting families. Indeed, by 1815, it was estimated that some 10,000 people in the Hinckley area were employed in framework knitting, many of them working on government contracts to provide clothing for the forces. As many of the old farmyards became occupied by frame shops, there were the small jitties developed to join up the old yards with the main streets in the town. The jitty is a local name which has become a feature of Hinckley, and there are still many old jitties left in the town, probably somewhere between 40 and 50 today. The hosiery industry was a true domestic industry, involving men, women and children. The children wound the wool for their mothers, and the mother would spin the wool on a wheel rather like this. During the 1840s, poverty in the town was considerable. Mr. Eales, the local pawnbroker, said that he had some 700 to 800 women coming every Monday and Tuesday in order to pawn goods. That was at a time when the population was only about 6,000. He said that he would give women twopence to take the shoes off their feet in order that they'd have enough to buy a loaf of bread with which to feed. Relatively soon after the problems of the 1840s came the cotton famine of the 1860s, caused by the American Civil War. once again Hinckley became a poverty-stricken community. Indeed, about that time, the local cooperative society was formed to try and assist the poverty-stricken local people.
Initially, it was a home industry. All the knitting frames were operated from home. Some had 2 frames, 3 frames, or maybe 4. Some of the frames were operated in small adjoining buildings. And the biggest thing that came in was the circular knitting machine. These were initially hand-powered, but it was evident that they could be powered by steam. So in 1855, the first steam engines were introduced into the industry. This meant the commencement of the factory situation.
With the coming of the factories, Hinckley became a most prosperous town, but the wage rates for Hinckley workers were somewhat lower than those in Leicester. Many joined the trade unions in an effort to better their conditions, and in 1891 there was a 9-week strike. At the end of the strike, the employers gave 20 to 30% increases in wage rates, and harmony returned to the hosiery industry.
And numerous other factories were built around the town. A lot of the names came into Hinckley which were associated with the hosiery industry have long since gone, unfortunately. My grandfather bought an ex-1418 Nissen hut as such, and bought ground in Bond Street, which was previously the orchard to the manor house which was built there. I think in the early 20s Davis initially came into the town. Here again you see the Davis factory that is now B&Q. Within their premises there was a church, a Wesleyan church actually, which was surrounded and taken over. Subsequently Bennett's, a very, very large factory along Station Road and close to the station, they started in hosiery. Bennett's in Rugby Road, they were in knitwear. We ourselves at one time owned Trojan Knitwear, which is just over the road from here, which is now Davenport Knitwear. Davenport being another family that was associated with the hosiery industry in this town. You get one of the oldest factories in town is Tansey's the Needle Factory. That obviously supplied needles into the industry. You had Sketchley Dye Works. One of their big things was to dye, which was known originally as Hawley's, of course. You get a lot of engineering companies, again, that are associated with the hosiery trade, allied to. When I first came into the industry, we used to send everything, not everything, quite a lot of it out in skips. Again, you would pay to the skip, you would pay the railway to take the skip to deliver it, and you also had a return system that they would come back and bring the skips back in again.
The early and middle parts of the 20th century became a real boomtown as a result of the success of the knitwear and hosiery industry.
This is where the sock industry had its strength, really. Halls were a big supplier into the military. And we ourselves in Bond Street Down, we supplied government, we did government contracts, and a lot of the stuff was made that way. In fact, more recently, strange to relate, in the Falkland situation, some of the soldiers out there were so cold that they were wearing tights, and we actually supplied them by the Falkland Island Trading Company.
When Hinckley was developing, new amenities for the local people became an important feature of the town, particularly as the result of the work of Mr. Featherstone, who was the local surveyor. The new developments included Hollycroft Park, which was opened for King George V's Jubilee, and the Hinckley Lido, where many people took advantage of a new sporting and leisure facility, which was waterborne. At the same time, the old slums in the town were the subject of an extensive renewal programme. Many of the old yards and jitties that had been a feature of the town for centuries were removed, and new council houses were built to accommodate those people who were to be rehoused.
I believe it was from about 1980 onwards when the industry started to go into decline.
When the Italians started to import into this country, which were the first importers, they were looking round for the big wholesalers. So of course they plumped for the big wholesalers in London and in Manchester and Leeds. But of course we've moved on from there now. A lot of the merchandise is coming from east.
So that the one or two manufacturers of knitting, etc., that are still existing in the town have had to start to look for specialisation.
We do old ladies' stockings in 60 denier and 40 denier. We do dance tights. We do a range of fishnet tights. Anything allied to the knitting industry that we can get hold of, we will do. But you've got to work in the niche markets. The mass producers you cannot do now.
When you say the niche market, you mean the big bums and short legs?
Big bums and short legs. That's it exactly. Yes. We make tights up to an 80-inch hip, and that is a big lady. That is a big lady. When the cutter knife comes in, cuts it. We produce a filter fabric. We produce it in nylon. Basically, this is a nylon tube, and we produce it in cotton, which is the petrol filter system. Knitting machines that are being used there are older than I am, but it's a machine that does the job. It's been doing the job for 70-odd years, and it continues to do it. If you buy a pair of Rainingtons, you will find there is a fabric on the inside. This really does two things. It saves the rubber sticking onto the mould when they're made, actually, and of course it supplies us with a job to do.
We're very much involved in some of the famous institutions of the town. Yes, George Atkins, who I mentioned earlier, who was the younger of the five brothers, died when he was very young, and as a sort of memorial to him, the other four brothers presented the free library to Hinckley in Station Road. And in addition to that, of course, they also gave considerable amounts to the cottage hospital, and you will find that a number of the wards and amenities down there were in fact provided by them. Shirley Atkins must always be remembered, of course, because a lot of the sport and their activities of the town arose because of what he brought here. He was a great games player. He introduced cricket and golf and, of course, rugby football. And in addition, he was very much involved in the amateur dramatics and the operatic side of things in the town.
Yes. So you see, I think that the town of Hinckley has got a lot to thank for Robert deciding to come and settle here in 1722.
Well, yes, it'd be nice to think so.
There has always been a strong cultural and leisure connection, and cinemas used to be a feature of the town.
Well, of course, that is something you could not do in this building over 40 years ago, because then it was cinema, the Regent Theatre and Cinema. Today it is Flutter's Bingo Club. Cinema came to Hinckley in the very early years of the 20th century. Not in a purpose-built building, it was in a place called St George's Hall, not to be confused with St George's Ballroom in the Horse Fair. That wasn't built till 1936. No, St George's Hall was in the marketplace, adjoining the George Hotel. But it wasn't until 1913 that the first purpose-built building was erected in Hinckley, in the borough. It was called the Hinckley Theatre and Cinema, but the locals called it the borough. But about 1919, it was decided we needed another building. So the proprietors of the Hinckley Theatre and Cinema, they looked around the town to see where else films could be shown. And they found the drill hall in new buildings. They took a lease on it, they converted it into a nice cinema, seating, screen, curtains, and it opened up in 1920. And it was found that 2 cinemas were just not enough for all the people that wanted to come. So, 1927, land was bought on the corner of Rugby Road and Lancaster Road. And in 1929, this building opened, the Regent Theatre and Cinema. But in 1934, it was decided they should make a real facelift to the Hinckley Theatre and Cinema in the borough. A brand new building was put on the Trinity Lane side of that cinema. And the original theatre now became the foyer for the new one. The following year, that building was sold to a man by the name of Oscar Deutsch, who was building up a big cinema chain around Great Britain, the Odeon cinema chain. So now Hinckley had its own Odeon. The following year, 1935-36, they were surprised to see a hosiery factory being demolished on the corner of Trinity Lane and the top of Hollycroft. And very soon, a cinema was being erected in its place. And that opened in 1937, the Danilo. So now we had 3 super cinemas in our town. They changed the face of entertainment. They changed quite a lot of the face of our town from the point of view of building.
An important development in Regent Street in the 1950s was the building of the Epwood Centre on the site of the previous garage. Many years before, in the 1830s, Hansom had first had his car built in a workshop on the same site.
This new Edwards Centre, of course, stimulated the shopping in the thoroughfare, and consequently congestion began to grow with the development of the town.
Now let me tell you of the closing of the cinemas in our town. Audiences began to dwindle for the cinema. And the first of our town cinemas to close was the Odeon in the Borough. That closed in 1961. And within a year it had been demolished. And in its place went the building that is there today. It was built for a building society. Eventually it became the building we know today, the Nationwide Building Society. The next cinema to close was 7 years later. This building that I'm standing in today, this closed in 1968, shortly to turn into a bingo hall. And today it is Flutter's Bingo Club. And I take my hat off to the proprietors of Flutter's for all the conservation and preservation they've done on this wonderful building. The Danilo Cinema, well, that kept going for quite a number of more years. In fact, they had changed it into a 3-screen cinema, and it closed in May of 1993. That building is still there, thankfully. So, let's hope the cinema may once more return to our town and change the face of entertainment. Certainly it has changed much in our town in the way of buildings.
1995 saw the construction and opening of the Northern Perimeter Road, which in itself relieved much of the through traffic from Leicester, Coventry and Nuneaton from having to pass through the town centre, and it also provided openings for development of out-of-town industrial and retail outlets. 2003, and a further extension of semi-pedestrianisation is being installed, the Borough and Regent Street being the area of redevelopment. The short distance from the Union Corner to Mansion Street and Trinity Lane is to carry the flow of traffic wishing to journey through or to the other end of town. The Borough from Stockwell Head at the Union Junction along to Regent Street is to be a loop turning and passenger disembarkation stopping place with no parking in this area. Buses and taxis will be taking advantage of an easier flow of traffic, and the shopping public will experience more freedom of safe walking in what promises to be a more open, expansive area. Use of the loop for putting down of passengers will be a gradual learning curve, and drivers will have to relocate themselves and their vehicles to a suitable parking area. The 1920s, with its lesser traffic loads, had its pavings lined with trees, a feature which it is programmed will appear as part of this current redevelopment. The 20th century demise of the town's knitwear and hosiery factories has reduced the number of current manufacturing businesses functioning within the town to only a few, with H.J. Hall Limited Socks being one still flourishing.
Well, we were first established in 1882, and then many times during the war and after the last war, we were producing heavy gauge socks, and we noticed a trend towards branded socks immediately after the war, and then introduced the H.J. Hall, the Commando socks, the Indestructible and Countryman socks, and more recently the soft top, no elastic sock. We have been successful, but it's meant a lot of hard work from the family, the managers and all the employees concerned.
I presume that you've had to make some fairly large investments in new machinery.
Yes, we certainly have made large investments in knitting machinery and more recently in packaging machinery that has ensured that we try and keep labour costs under control, but it is difficult.
And the grey socks that you now have down in front of you?
These were the ministry socks that we used to produce immediately after the war. They're particularly a very heavy 80% wool, 20% nylon sock, which has been superseded by the Commando sock that we produce here, that is also produced for the Army, and this is more of a stretch sock with a cushioned sole. This particular sock sells very well to the farming community. It's very hard wearing and very comfortable.
Are you heavily involved in any way in export?
Yes, we are involved in export at the present moment. We think that is important aspects of our business for the future, and this is why we are so keen to brand all our products H.J. Hall.
So I see that most of it is done in white. Does that mean that they're dyed afterwards?
Yes, 60% of our production is dyed afterwards now. Where we use pre-dyed colour, it's because of the special patterning effects that we have to put into the sock.
Transco, part of the national gas distribution grid, another remaining business in the town providing employment for approximately 1,200 people. The cottage hospital, which was spoken about earlier in the film, has over the years had to embrace the growth of the town's health centre. And now, to relieve the situation, the Sunnyside Hospital on Ashby Road is undergoing an extension to its existing premises and will give to the town an establishment of considerable size with modern, up-to-date accommodation. Among the modern car dealerships, Trinity Motors has expanded its business with motor cars, four-wheel drive vehicles, LDV vans as the predominant part of its business. Servicing of the nationwide AA driving school vehicles is an impressive undertaking at their bodyworks department, and now utilising their resources and adjacent land on its Coventry Road site, they have developed the wharf for leisure activities, in total providing employment in excess of 250 people. In the latter years of the 20th century, the demise of the hosiery and knitwear has created an available workforce, and so the many industrial estates like Harrowbrook and the Dodderell estates have progressed to vast proportions. A wide variety of commercial enterprises have established themselves here, taking advantage of Hinckley's geographical situation and ease of connection with the country's motorway network, and also the availability of a large workforce. Tesco Distribution Centre employs in the region of 1,100 and has in the region of 2,600 lorries per week from suppliers bringing in their goods, and Tesco themselves have approximately 1,700 trailerised lorry movements per week making their deliveries. Triumph Motorcycles, with its two factories, provides regular employment for 650, having taken a large number of ex-knitwear workers and retrained them. This highly successful business enjoys an export of its products in the region of 85%. And now in August 2003, the national unemployment figure runs at 2.6%. But here in Hinckley we figure amongst the lowest in the country, with only 1.6% registering as unemployed. In 1905 the Post Office took a prominent position on Station Road and the junction with Lancaster Road, and to the rear of this was originally known as Waterloo Square or the Cork Hole in the 1920s. The bus station was created to handle the volume of traffic, bringing visitors in from a wide-ranging district to shop in the prosperity of Hinckley. What does the future hold? What plans are there to change the face? Plans are established to rejuvenate the lower area surrounding the existing bus station. Proposals are afoot to prepare an area with supermarkets, bus station, leisure facilities and the varied selection of retail outlets and car parking facilities. furthering the needs to progress on into the 21st century with its previously established quality, friendly and homely shopping area. The Druid Quarter, mostly contained within Derby Road, Hollier's Walk, Mansion Street, Upper and Lower Bond Street and Factory Road, which has been the home for more than 100 years of many of the significant factory establishments and is now the subject of a master plan of redevelopment. Many such areas in other similar towns throughout the UK have had their old buildings given a facelift for a wide range of facilities, from retail and factory shop outlets to gymnasiums and leisure activities, character snack bars and restaurants, and in many cases much needed living accommodation. Making use of existing built-up area together with already installed main services of course helps to retain our outer zones as a green belt area. No doubt the desperate need for more accessible car parking is on the cards, together with the pleasures of maybe a bowling alley or a cinema. Who knows what the future holds in this still changing face of a Midlands town.
Truly fascinating, I think you'll agree. We have shown that before, of course, but you look at it even more so now and you think of all the changes that have gone on since that was made in the early 2000s, of course, and the late Stuart Watson. And it's also interesting to notice, like I say, some of the places that we see have gone. Some of the plans that they showed you there happened, but in very different ways to what was originally proposed. So there you go. It's good stuff, isn't it? Anyway, now then, if you just joined us where you've been, some people are already getting the anagram. Some people have missed the anagram. Queen Bee. Just can't get the mother-in-laws these days, can you? And some people say having a good go at the Where in Hinckley. So let's do the Where in Hinckley first. If I go down my list here, Where in Hinckley, it's obviously a shop, but which shop? Yeah, I know that could be one of maybe a couple of places I can think of. But which one is it? There you go. Not giving you much away with that, but let's see how you go. See how you go with that. Apparently Ray's not only got the anagram, he's also got this one too. Clever little boy. Yeah, he's doing really well tonight. And of course, let's have a look at the anagram this evening. For those of you that missed it, there you go. Ayrshire checkered stonemason. Now, Mrs. G, as usual, got the thumb screws out, threatened to pull me fingernails out. And anyway, she slowly got it out to me that... so she's got the anagram anyway, eventually. And she'd still got a bit of brain fog from the COVID, though. I think she'd agree with that, yeah. So there you go. This will give you the name of a company and indeed where it was. I can't say much more than that. So it's the name of the company and where it was, and it was in Hinckley. That's what we're looking for tonight. Kath Danny says, John's got where in Hinckley. Yes, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. Anyway, Ian Roberts saying, whatever happened to that dystopia we were promised in the video? I don't know. Maybe it got lost in the post, mate, yeah. And Maureen Harris says, it makes me feel old when I can remember places being built and then subsequently knocked down. I know. I know. It's a busy one tonight, isn't it? There. Kay Norton was saying, because Kay Norton and Gary says, I used to work on the examining and packing at Hall & Son. Yeah, well, I worked at Hall & Son a long, long time ago, before electric. But anyway, I'm not going to bore you with that old story again, but there you have it. Okay, then, listen, we're getting very closer to having our nose there tonight. Now, Steve Picker, of course, the man with the nose, the man that can, is going to be with us in just a few moments' time. Just want to repeat for those people that have come in late, where have you been? 2, come along on Wednesday night to our social. Nice, sweet, short and whatever social on Wednesday night, because I've got to get up early Thursday morning. That'll be fun. So please come along, have a drink and enjoy the social night and some wonderful pictures to show you on the night. I was going to say a unique sneak preview into John Denny's book. But I'm not going to say that now, because it wouldn't be fair. Anyway, but no, come along on Wednesday night. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to that, of course. And as I said, and a reminder, talking to Mr. Nosey, he is going to be with us in September, live on the stage. Yes, on that September social. So don't miss it. Because who knows when I'll be able to get him again. Yeah, exactly. So, because he'll probably be down a hole somewhere or in a culvert somewhere. We won't be able to get him for ages. So we're looking forward to that in September. Okay, time for a nosy, as always, on a Monday evening. Are you all sitting comfortably, boys and girls, mums and dads? Oh, right, okay. Settle back, because here's that man that knows how to nosy more than anybody else. Yep, here's our Steve. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here is Mr. Nosy himself, Steve Picker.
Hello, hey up and how you diddling? My name is Steve and once again it's a great big warm welcome from myself to Let's Explore. Right then, first things first, I know what you're thinking straight the way. You're thinking to yourself, bloody hell Steve lad, you've let yourself go a bit in your sunshine. Go and get yourself a wash, go and wash your clothes at least. Well, the truth of it is I'm quite a clean person usually, but the truth of it is I've actually recorded today's video already. I thought, you know what, I'll leave the intro till last because I don't know what I'm going to find, if anything at all today. Anyway, currently I'm stood above a little river in northeast Leicestershire known as the River Smite. Now this little river, as you can see, it's very little, it's no more than a stream at this point. This is actually a tributary of another river downstream known as the River Devon or the River Devon, depending on how you pronounce it locally. But this particular little river, the Smite, it draws its water from a handful of little springs about 2 miles away, and it's one of those little springs that is of great interest to us today. Anyway, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it whilst I show you where it is on the maps. Come on, let's go and have a nosy. Right, so once again, courtesy of Google Earth, we can look at today's exploration from very high above. And as you can see there, this week we are in northeast Leicestershire, a few miles to the north of the market town, Melton Mowbray, just a little stone's throw away from the villages of Kettleby and Holwell. And it's Holwell that's of interest today because, long story short, this video was unplanned. It wasn't until 48 hours before I actually went out and made the video that I was told about what we're looking at today. So long story short, I've been in contact with a chap called Mark Orridge for what feels like the best part of 2 years online. And 2 weeks ago, me, Dave, Andy, Steve and Rob, we actually went and met Mark over in the area of Melton to have a bit of a nosy somewhere. And he's a great lad. He's so full of knowledge of the local area when it comes to history. He really knows his stuff big time. And he's also a bit of a part-time archaeologist. So Let's Explore's actually acquired an archaeologist. He's just completed a degree at Leicester University, I think. So well done, that man. But Mark was telling me about the Holwell mouth. I'd never heard anything about it, and the Holwell mouth, just to the north of the village of Holwell, is actually one of the springs, one of the sources of the River Smite. And for centuries people were visiting this spring because they believed that the water had got amazing powers for healing, you know, healing powers. And also apparently it was really good for healing eyes, I think. I'm not quite sure how true that is. So absolutely fascinating. Right, so what you're looking at now, courtesy of the National Library of Scotland, is a map from the 1880s of the area that we're going to explore today. Now, it's quite interesting because the neighbouring village of Holwell, which is around about a mile and a half away from this area that we're going to look at shortly, gets its name from this spring. Now, Holwell comes from an Old English word, holwella, which means spring or stream in a hollow. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? Anyway, for this video, we've got some proper Indiana Jones in to do. I didn't know what I was going to find down there today, but one thing I did find was the bloody jungle as per usual. Anyway, let's go and have a proper nosy and do some Indiana Jones in, shall we? Come on. Right, well, I tell you what, we really have got his work cut out today down here. And as Mark was saying to me, oh, nearly went then. As Mark was saying this morning, it's like an African safari down here. It's really so overgrown. I tell you what, I bet I look daft and I walking around the English countryside with my mini shovel. Do you know what I mean? But it's got to be done. It's a good whacker as well, and we might need it to actually clear around this old well if we can, well, this spring if we can find it. But yeah, you know what I'm like. A few stinging nettles, he says, a few. Don't usually bother me, and they don't, to be fair, as long as I've got jeans on. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's go and see if we can find this this spring anyway. I've got to be honest with you, I think this might be the most extreme nosy that I've ever been on. It's like a bracken forest here. I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. And there's a lot of dead bracken as well. And you're kind of standing on top of it and you're falling through it. And I'm really not far, I don't think, from this spring. But it's getting really warm as well, which is not fantastic when you've got jeans on, do you know what I mean? But it's actually an amazing habitat down here. I could be in the middle of anywhere, do you know what I'm saying? But, you know, right next to a main road, really. It's just amazing how this little stream that becomes the River Smite has carved out this beautiful valley here. Although you can't see much of the valley because it's overgrown, isn't it? But I am knackered already. But the good news is, look at this, I've found water. Right, so that's the trail I've just walked through, although you can't really see any of it. I reckon it's all grown back. Do you know what I mean? And I've made it to this point. Now, as you can see, look at that. We do have a very small stream that downstream becomes the River Smite, of course. Now, just to my right, through here, we should find the spring, which is quite exciting, I think. But this is unbelievable terrain down here, folks, I tell you. I'm glad it's you that are sitting at home having a brew watching this or an ice cold beer. That'd be nice, wouldn't it, at the minute? Jesus. But anyway, let's proceed up there. Right, so this stream then is literally just here. It goes and it flows beneath the camera tripod there. But as you can see, it's a bit of a nightmare, this one, to say the least. And, you know, I've said it before, I actually quite enjoy it. I see it as a workout, to be honest with you. But I'm just hoping that we can actually see the spring. If not, I'm just going to have to bash the nettles down and hope we can show you it that way. But it's definitely in this area. I know that for sure. And I'll tell you what, there must have been a clear path around here for centuries. You know, when people were travelling here or going on pilgrimages here to get here. Oh, it's wrapping itself around me shovel. But, right, what we got here? It's kind of, it's disappearing a bit here. I don't know if it's this stuff or what, but we ain't far from it now, at all. Right then, so whilst I'm battling the undergrowth like a Trojan back there, I want to talk to you about this chap here. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Thomas Cook, ain't he the package holiday bloke who invented them? Well, you'd be absolutely right. And your next question's going to be, well, what's he got to do with it? Well, let me tell you. Now, of course, this is Thomas Cook. And Thomas Cook was born in the South Derbyshire village of Melbourne, which ain't far from where I'm sitting now in North West Leicestershire, relatively speaking. And he was born in 1808, and unfortunately, he died in 1892 in Knighton in Leicester. Now, this photograph, of course, is courtesy of Wikipedia, where I also got that little bit of information about him from. But Mark was telling me earlier. Now, Mark's not sure how true this is, but I'm going to go with it because I think it's fantastic. Now, Thomas Cook, as far as we know, his first trip that he took people on was from Leicester to Loughborough. But also, Mark thinks that one of his other earliest adventures that he took people on was actually to Holwell Mouth to have a dip in the water. Now, ain't that fantastic if that's true? And we've gone full circle. Thomas Cook did it, and now I'm doing it, bringing you down here, ain't I? Anyway, let's see how I'm getting on with this undergrowth. I tell you what, it's been doing my bloody head in, I tell you that much. Right then, so I've actually, as you can see, cleared a path of sorts, and I've actually just gone up there and I've found the actual spring, the source, or one of the sources of the River Smite. And you know, the Smite is actually a tributary of the River Devon or River Devon, depending on how you pronounce it. I think it is Devon. But what's fascinating up there, as you're going to see shortly, there's a lot of bottles that are kind of half buried in the sediment, in the mud around this stream, and you know, more modern bottles as well. So I wonder if people, you know, back in the day were bottling it, but then again, why did they leave the bottles there? Not really sure about that, but it's strange to think though why there are bottles up there. There's quite a few of them. Anyway, I'm cream crackered. Let's get over here and have a look. Right, so do you see what I was saying about all these old bottles, look, scattered about? There's numerous ones up here. In fact, let's have a look at this one. I mean, some of these are really old. Some of them maybe not as old as you think they are, but yeah, very interesting. I mean, what does that say? It's, CA E14, something like that. I'm not quite sure. Is that from some sort of science lab? I don't know. But it's just up here, so I've got to clear quite a bit of this out. But yeah, a lot of bottles. I mean, there's one here as well. So have people over the years been coming here and bottling it? But you know, if there have been, you know, why are they leaving the bottles here? Bit odd, if you ask me. Bit strange. Right then, so whilst I'm editing this video, Mark keeps firing over loads of really interesting information. I keep going off my editor and looking at my messages, and this is one of those fantastic pieces of info he's just sent me. Now, what you're looking at here is an enclosure award of 1761, so a very long time ago. I'm not going to zoom in on it or anything. I've had problems with my laptop. I'm actually editing this on my phone. And this was reprinted in the Melton Times in 1939. And what it did, it gave the public the right to use and take away the miracle waters of the Holwell Mouth, and for people of Ab Kettleby to have access for their cattle to, I assume, be able to drink from it as well. So fantastic that. Thanks again, Mark. Right then, so this little area beneath this undergrowth, I tell you what, I should have called this video Man versus Undergrowth. Man actually came out on top this time. But this is where the source is. Now, it's said that in the 17th and 18th centuries, there were actually like a table and chairs round here for people to sit. Now, I'm not so sure about that. Well, I wasn't so sure about it, but then I found this. I found this brick, look, this red brick. Now, to me, the edge of that looks shaped, so maybe that was a decorative brick for this area. For me, this brick is here because of this spring, and I'm actually delighted that I've found this, and honestly you won't believe how much hard work it's been trying to get here. Now I'm going to show you this. There isn't an awful lot to look at, so I'm sorry if you've tuned into this video and you're expecting to see a lot. If you're interested in the sources of rivers, of course, you will be interested in that. But that's fantastic that we've found this brick, because that tells a story in itself. You know, someone were down here, maybe in the 17th century, laying this. Is it from here? I would have thought so. So for me personally, that's quite exciting. But yeah, oh man, I've had to work. Show you in here anyway. Right, so let's give you a close-up. So there's the water, and you know, this spring, it's said that people were actually travelling here because they thought that this water was actually good for the eyes. So people with eye problems used to come here. And there it is. So the water comes from beneath this hillside here. This, of course, is Holwell Hollow then, if you like. There's actually some tumbling down here as well. In fact, that's probably more it. So as you can see, there's a tree root there. But yeah, whether there was a table and chairs around this, I don't know. I mean, certainly it would not have been overgrown like this down here if it's true what they say about this place. But for me, fascinating little adventure this. Hard work. But yeah, a good one, that's for sure. You just need a flipping strimmer and an edge cutter with you, to be fair. But yeah, this is what all the fuss has been about. Right, so I'm actually quite excited now because I've found more stone or brickwork, and it looks like the water's actually tumbling down it, so it's going to be man-made, isn't it? So that's quite exciting. So when I first got to this little area, I wasn't being very optimistic apart from that first brick we found. So it does appear that there is more here. Right, let's try and clear it for you. Wow. Right, I've got to be honest with you, I'm actually quite excited now. I've come down here today, not expecting to see an awful lot. I didn't even know if I was going to get down here, to be honest, even when I got here, because the terrain is so bad. But I think when I got here, I said to you that I thought there was a tree root there. Well, it's not. It looks like a bit of ironstone that's been placed. And there's actually steps here. There's man-made steps. I can't believe it. It was so worth getting down here. You know, this is really good archaeology. I think we can call it that. This is fascinating. Now, people haven't been here for years, as far as I know, up until today. Yeah, there's a main road out there. Ab Kettleby's just up the road, and Holwell, we're not far from Melton Mowbray. Yeah, we've got this amazing piece of history. This is fantastic. The people that have been down here bathing in this water. Maybe they had eye problems, maybe they had other sorts of problems. This is, in my opinion, this is truly fantastic. I'm genuinely very excited about this. I'm going to clear it a bit more and show you it. For me, this has made my weekend. This is brilliant. Right then, so what we have got here is a set of steps. I don't know if you can see them from there. I'm going to show you in a second. And I think, obviously, I came in up that way. So there would have been a path. There's a public footpath here somewhere. Maybe that is it, or unless it's over there, don't matter. There was a path up to this point, and I think there was a bit of a spiral stepway down here to this water. So this is amazing. Let me show you it. Right, so I've cleaned this up as best as I can. I didn't want to damage it either. But look at that. So initially I thought that was a tree root going across there. Then I quickly realised it's not, it's actually steps. As you can see, the water is tumbling down here slightly, look. See that? It's coming from beneath there as well. And it was coming from down here as well somewhere. But just look at this. So what we've got here are ironstone steps. Now this water allegedly usually does have a tinge of red to it because of the ironstone deposits round here. And apparently it did taste very sulphury. Now we're not going to be tasting it today. But this has made my day, and there we are, look, just there, can you see that brickwork? So there might have been once, yeah, a bit there as well, a bit of a retaining wall either side of here, I imagine. A lot of it's gone now and weathered away, but I'd wager, you know, if we could clear all this, you know, which we're not going to do today, I reckon if we could clear all that, we could probably trace this. But for me, this is, I mean, you might be surprised to hear this, but this is one of the most exciting things I've ever come across on this channel. Just the fact of what it is, you know, how many people walked down these steps, you know, local villagers Families of villagers that maybe came from further afield that heard of the healing properties of this water down here. Maybe nationally people travelled here. These areas were sacred to people, and they'd come from all over if they knew it could heal them. But yeah, this is amazing. Just look at that. Fantastic. Right, well, unfortunately, that concludes today's video, and I hope you've enjoyed it. It's something a bit different for you, and I only learnt about this place myself, 48 hours before actually making this video because of Mark. And Mark is somebody that I'm hoping you're going to see on future videos. He's a great bloke. He's full of local knowledge and history. He's a bit of an archaeologist, as I think I mentioned earlier. Fantastic chap, and hopefully he'll be coming out. But he actually tried to come down here this morning. He sent us in our group chat a little video, and you're up there somewhere, and he looked at his surroundings and thought, sod this, I'm going to leave it for today. But I brought my little whacker shovel down with me, didn't I? And good job I had it, because we could clear those steps off so we could really get a sense and a feel of what was going on down here. And it's quite funny, when I was approaching this site, I thought, right then, so if there was a bit of a bathing spring here, I don't think people would have been coming in this way, because I'm looking at, this area, and it's the spring now. Well, no, it's not, it's the summer. We're a few months on, aren't we? And, the undergrowth is ridiculous down here. So, would they have had somebody, clearing a pathway down here all the time? Maybe. And I thought, what if there was steps somewhere? But I didn't say that on camera, and we did. We found steps. They're definitely man-made, and they were put there a very long time ago, in my opinion, because you've got the old red brickwork as well in places. Absolutely fantastic. It's honestly made me weekend finding that. Did not expect to find anything. I got up there. I seen the actual spring where it was coming from underneath the hillside there, and I thought, well, that's it then, there's not really much. Then I found that brick, and then I thought, hold on a minute, that looks like a step there off camera, and yeah, lo and behold, we found it. Anyway, if you like this video, please like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you soon at the next one. Thanks for watching, take care of yourselves and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye.
And there he was, gone. Thank you, Steve. That was a good nose there. Good nosy, mate. Well done. And I can see already in the chat room, if you can see here, lots of people saying, Steve, you've got to go back. You've got to go back. Take your JCB with you this time. Don't do it half and half. Go on, dig it up. And take some stuff to how to clear your way. I did feel sorry for Steve there, as I sat here with a nice cup of tea and a rich tea biscuit as he slogged his way through that undergrowth. Well done, mate. Absolutely fascinating stuff. Remember, you can always find lots of Steve's noses on his channel, Let's Explore. Just go to YouTube, type Let's Explore. You can see all his adventures so far. And like I say, we feature them every week in our because you just like the guy. You like the guy, don't you? Yes, they do. And if you want to meet the man in person, as I've told you earlier on, come to our September social night, when he'll be signing autographs, he'll be digging up the stage, he'll be doing all sorts, he'll be popping up out of culverts. That'll be our Steve. Look forward to welcoming him to our social night in September. Don't forget, it's our social night on Wednesday night. I'm giving plenty of people reminders because it's easy to forget. Say, come along on Wednesday night. Short and sweet. It's going to be a nice one, and it won't be a late night at all because, like I say, I've got to get up early the next morning. Got a lot of driving to do. Anyway, having said that, it's now time to get back to more things at hand, which is the Where in Hinckley and the anagram. Now, tonight, it's just been a bit of fun, really, to be totally honest with you. Let's show you where the Where in Hinckley. Here's Where in Hinckley. Right, now is your time. We obviously it's in Hinckley because it's called Where in Hinckley, but where in Hinckley, and what is it? What's that shop? Now is the time. Now is the time to put your answer in the chat room, and why I just wait a few moments for the first, but and it's going to be John Denny usually straight in first because he types it up half an hour ago. You did types up half an hour ago, so we can just press enter, you see, to save in time. By the way, Steve saying, thanks everyone. It's never a chore because I love doing it, especially when there's digging involved. You see, he thrives off your comments. So thank you very much, Steve, and we're looking forward to your next nosy when you get time to do one. We're asking the question at the moment, where in Hinckley? We're waiting for someone to put the right answer in. Who dares be first with the right answer? I'm still waiting, because have a look at that. Maureen Harris just got in there. Okay, and she said, Castle Street, it's Greg's, is it? Oh, right, okay. Across from Banque, says Kath Jenny. Whatever Ban Q is, I wouldn't know. But listen, let's give you the answer. Well done indeed. Smith Sports as it was. No, it's not Ian. No, it is definitely... It's Greg's indeed. Go in there and have a roll. There you have it. It's Greg's in Castle Street. So well done. If you got it right, that is brilliant. Well done. That's our where in Hinckley. Right, okay then, now we go over to the big one. Oh yes, the guys are already typing their answers in already. I can feel it, you know. I can feel it. So, here we go. Let's go with it then. Here was the anagram we've been teasing you with all night. Ayrshire checkered stonemason. Ayrshire checkered stonemason. If you rearrange that, as Jeff Wallace has just put in perfect timing, you should get to the answer... because I said it's a name of a company and where it was at. Yes, Manchester Hosiery, Queen's Road. Well done. Yes. Oh, and Tim Townsend comes straight in there. Yes, just in time as well. So well done. Well done, Jeff, and well done, Tim. Yes, the Manchester Hosiery, Queen's Road. That's it. It's always a good bit of fun. Yeah. Oh, in comes Mary Blake as well with it. So... it just depends how quick your internet connection is. Maureen Harris also getting it right. Manchester Hosiery, Queen's Road. That's good. I think I can do a few more of those, actually, because that worked nice. And I thought, it's got a queue in, too. Because earlier on, Mrs. G was saying, well, I can't think of a road with a queue in. And she's got COVID brain fog at the minute. And I thought, well, it's only the next street. I mean... But then she goes, oh... as she always does. Then she suddenly realised, I said, well, I'm saying nothing, you know, because I usually incriminate myself one way along the way. But anyway, so there we go. I hope you enjoyed that as well. It's always been a bit of fun for a Monday evening as well. Now, like I say, come along Wednesday night. We'd love to see you at the social night. And then, now, next Monday, hopefully, fingers crossed, if I get home in time, there will be a live stream. It might be a full-blown repeat, but depending on what time I get back, will determine if I'm able enough to put a stream together or not for next Monday. If not, I will post to tell you that. Gary Bettley says, my internet connection is 3 weeks slow. Ours used to be like that, mate. I tell you. You wait till you find out what's been going on. I tell you that. Nice one, mate. Anyway, Tim Townsend, or Little Jane on my phone, Paul. Oh, okay, right. It's Little Jane on Tim's phone, right? Okay, lovely, great, super. Okay, that's just about it for this particular broadcast. Like I say, because you've been so well behaved, you can go home early as top juniors, and I look forward to your company. All being well. Possibly next Wednesday, next Monday. See, I'm all excited about going to the Boundary Hotel. That's what it is. I might post a couple of innocent pictures to show you lounging in the Sun Lounge. I don't know. We'll see. But until then, anyway, I look forward to catching up with you very, very soon. Take care. And as I say, we will catch you soon. Remember to keep it HDPP and to keep it live. Until then, take care. Ta-da. Blimey, that bell don't have belt out. Oh, hello. Well, fancy seeing you here, my word. Yes, well, welcome to the epilogue, as they used to have. Can you remember the epilogue? The end of the day's broadcasting. They used to do that, didn't they? You know, the epilogue. And then God Save the Queen, and you'd stand up in the middle of the night. Oh, I better get up for the Queen, you know, before the little dot disappeared on your screen. Oh, happy. You see, we don't close down anymore, so you don't see these things. But, oh, happy days. Usually, TV went off, then you'd have to talk to the wife or something. Anyway, lovely. Now, welcome back to this bit that we never ever talk about in the main broadcast, because we give you a few dad jokes to send you to sleep, or hopefully make you have a little chortle. Yeah, a little chortle. So we just got a few tonight, not too many. So settle down and enjoy. Is my friend ready to laugh next? Yes, he is. Okay then. Some you've heard before, but some are well worth a repeat anyway. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. It's a nice subtle one to start with. It is. Okay, that's not bad. Now, what do you call a factory that makes average products? A satisfactory. Meanwhile, over at the doctors, I've been diagnosed with chronic fear of giants. Fee-fi-phobia. Now, this next one is very true. If I was rich, I would give most of my money to the poor. But instead, I'm poor, so I'll give most of my money to the rich. Did you know? What is atheism? It's a non-profit organisation. One for the kids now, if the kids are watching. Why was Tigger so dirty? Because he was always playing with poo. Oh, no. Almost there. What's the difference between a cat and a comma? Well, one has its claws at the end of its paws, the other's has the paws at the end of her claws. Boom, boom. And finally, what do you call a priest that becomes a lawyer? A father-in-law. Or, one more sneaky one. What's the difference between a dirty old bus stop and a lobster with breast implants? One is a crusty bus station, the other one is a busty crustacean. And I know, I just have to say that me and my reclining chair go way back. Stop it. That's enough for one night. Please take care. And yes, he'll be laughing all the way out in Avicut. Look forward to your company next week. Take care. Ta-da.